Welcome everybody tonight. It's our Monday night training call. We've got some pretty exciting things we want to share with you tonight. And of course, as we mentioned to many of you last night, we do have a special announcement that we want to make tonight that we think will help everybody not only have a new level of excitement, but also be able to clearly see the path forward to help build their love by own business. So we're not going to play around. We're going to go ahead and get started. So wanted to start off with some people that can tell you quite a bit about incomes. It's interesting that Bill Gates, though he's a multi-billionaire, he said that if he was given the chance to do it all over again, he'd choose network marketing. And when you analyze businesses and take a little time to understand how businesses work, it's a situation where network marketing really is the fairest business on the planet. Because anybody that has a job, they know that we kids saying it stands for just over broke, the word job. When I had a couple of jobs in my lifetime, I called them jubs because I was always just under broke. But has anybody ever noticed that sometimes you just got too much month at the end of the money? Well, network marketing is an opportunity. These wealthy men, because it's not only Bill Gates, but also Robert Kiyosaki, who's also a billionaire, has said that if he had to start over again and build a business, it would be a network marketing business. And it's because it doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't take a lot of talent. It doesn't take a lot of time. And it allows you to build something that's yours. Passive residual income, I learned about it when I was 18 years old. I didn't learn it about network marketing. It was actually the insurance business. And so I worked for a company called Occidental Life, which was a wholly owned subsidiary of Transamerica Life that's still out there. And I was 18, and back then they wouldn't hire you unless you were 21. But I had a close friend that was in the insurance business, and he was 20 years my senior, and he wanted to teach me how to sell and to get into the insurance business. And what really intrigued me about it is it doesn't work this way anymore. They've gotten cheaper as the years have gone by. But back when I got started, when I was 18 years old, you'd have renewals that they would pay. As long as the policy was enforced, they'd pay you renewals for life. Now it dwindled a little bit. It was higher the first year and a little lower the second through the fifth, and then a little lower from the sixth to the 10th. But then after that, it was a percentage for life. And my last time that I sold an insurance was back in 1997, and I was selling long-term care insurance. And I actually, last year was the final year that it was going down, dwindling down. But last year the company did a buyout, and they just gave me a lump sum. I don't know, it was like $200-300, wasn't a lot, to just get rid of me, so they didn't have to send me checks every month anymore. But to do something one time and then get paid for it for as long as that person remains activated with that company is pretty spectacular. Most of the people that understand that concept in our world today are people in the entertainment business, movie stars. Every time that movie's played, they get paid again. The music business is where they have residuals, and they get those residuals even though they cut the song one time. And to help you to appreciate the value of that, as an example, the Beatles don't own their own book of business. The Beatles songs, the rights to those songs were actually purchased at one point in time by Michael Jackson. And Paul McCartney was very upset that the record company didn't even offer it to him. They just sold it to Michael Jackson. And Michael Jackson definitely understood the value of residual income. As a matter of fact, for a while, you may or may not be aware, but he dated Lisa Marie Presley, and he was like, I wonder what that Presley guy, who owns the rights to that? So he actually, for a period of time, actually owned the rights to Elvis Presley music. Now Presley Enterprises owns that back now, and the family has it, but Elvis Presley makes more per year now than he ever made when he was alive. And so that's the power of residual income, and that's what network marketing offers to all of us. You know, we have that opportunity to work in this field and build a residual income, and there is no greater feeling. And some people, they don't understand network marketing because they don't have that clear understanding. An interesting thing, just human psychology when it comes to humans, the way they make decisions. If you ask them a question or you propose something to them and they don't clearly understand it, the easiest way to keep themselves out of harm's way, in their opinion, is to just say no. That's the easiest way out, and if they don't understand it, that's often what they'll say is just, no, that's not for me. Now, you have to realize that in our business and what we train on this team is to realize, don't let no bother you, because NO, when they say NO to you, they don't really mean NO. They mean that they don't KNOW enough. That once they know enough, if they knew what we knew, this wouldn't be an issue. And so it's a situation where that's why you don't ever want to get a no, and the way you never get a no is you don't ask for a yes. And so it's a situation where you just educate and update. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight and help you to appreciate how simple this business can be. So a couple of triggers for you to remember if you're ever talking to anybody about the product or the business, and you hear them say something to the effect of, well, look, this just ain't something I can do. You can do this because, and then whatever they say, whether it's because you got the gift of gab, you've been in sales, whatever it is. If you hear them say that to you, that your red flag should come flying off the flagpoles to let you know you said way too much. So and I'm going to say it again because it's important for you to remember. If when you're speaking to somebody about this opportunity or the product, and they say that they can't do it, and the reason you can, and they give you whatever the reason is that you can but they can't, it means you said too much, because they are thinking that they need to do what you're doing. Look, if I stand on my head and spit nickels and convince you to buy my product, and then what do you think they got to do to sell the product, to get somebody to buy it? Well, I got to figure out how to stand on my head and spit nickels, and they probably won't be able to do that. And so what's the easiest thing for them to do? It ain't for me. And so it's crucial. It's crucial to your career, to your building your residual income, that you get that firm in your mind so that you adopt yourself and adapt yourself to the system that we teach at the Go Team, because it's the system that's going to make life easier for you. And what we want to talk about in a little bit more detail tonight is really the number one rule in being a successful networker. And that is, simply put, if it isn't duplicatable, don't do it. So if it requires, if I am successful on my business because I've learned to stand on my head and spit nickels, how many people am I going to be able to get to work my business with me? Let me help you, none. Who's going to do it? So it's a situation where being duplicatable is the key to success. It's the absolute key. And so we want you to understand that, so that when we hit you with our big announcement here, all the pieces will come together, and then as we move forward, we'll help you build the pieces of this puzzle. And so this business, like life, it's a huge puzzle, and if that's all you got is a couple of pieces on the board, it's kind of hard to see what's what's the big picture? What's this all about? But what we want to help you do is see the simplicity of duplication. And when you can make something highly duplicatable, I think when most people think of duplication, probably one of the things that, especially those of us that might be over the age of 40, we think of the Xerox machine. Can you remember when the Xerox machine first came out? You could stick a picture or a piece of paper in it and phew, phew, it just starts duplicating it. And how hard was it? You stuck it, you had to lift the little door back then. Now you just set it in, push a button, away it goes. But you had to lift up the lid, right? And you put your piece of paper and close it. And then you put how many you want, push the button, bang, it starts duplicating. That's what this business can do for you. So what we want to do is help you to understand the simplicity of lifting the lid, putting on the paper, saying how many you want, mash the button and sit and watch it grow. And that's what duplication will help you do. Some businesses that are very, very good at using duplication, the one that always comes to my mind is McDonald's. So if I were to ask you, what is McDonald's known for? Now, if you say in your mind's eye hamburgers, then I guess you've never eaten at McDonald's, because they're horrible. They're not in the hamburger business. They're in the business of duplication and distribution. That's what their business is. Now I want you to think, if you've ever been to a McDonald's before, I want you in your mind's eye to see yourself walking in the front door of the McDonald's. Now up ahead of you is the counter and where the kitchen's at and everything. Where's the fryers with the French fries going? They're over there on the left. I don't care how many McDonald's you go in, that's where they're going to be. They set it up the exact same way every time. Why? It's duplicatable. They can take a manager from New York City and send them to New Mexico and they can run the store, because it's exactly the same as the one in New York. The fryer's in the same place, the freezers are in the same place, the hamburgers go the same place in the freezer. I mean, it's all the same. It's just duplication. So what does duplication, it being duplicatable, do for that franchise? It simplifies. So simplicity is very, very important in your business. And so when somebody says something to you like, well, I can't do this, but you can, because you know that you complicated something. You took away the simplicity, and that's why they think they can't do it. So it's a situation where this being simple and it's really not duplicatable if it's not simple. I mean, yeah, there's some huge companies out there. You might think of the Boeing Corporation, or Ford, where they knock out these cars or these airplanes one after the other, but it's still duplication. The passenger doors always put on that car at the exact same place and time in the line. Whether it's an airplane engine or whatever it is, it's duplication that allows these businesses to be successful. And it's duplication that's going to allow your business to be successful. It's the same thing. So let's get into a little bit more about here's why. The reason why is, if you think in your mind's eye the system that we have built in place already. So what's the system? The only time you really have to say anything to anybody is when you're going to pique interest. So we've taught you to figure out a question, figure out whatever works for you. You don't have to use our questions. I guarantee you Bob's pique is different than mine. Billy's is different than mine. Judy, Byron, theirs is different. We all use a different approach to trying to pique somebody's interest. So it's a situation, and it doesn't matter. I'll never forget, Bob Burke and I, we did a training on a Carnival cruise ship one time, and we invited a professional speaker on our trip with us. His name was Jerry Clark, and so he was going to do a training. And this I'll never forget this because it was amazing to me. So he was on the elevator. You got, 10, 12, 15 decks, however how much it is. and he was on this elevator, and evidently, whoever was on the elevator with him was a couple, as I recall, they were football or basketball stars or something like that. So he asked them a question to try to pique their interest, to get them to come learn more about what we were doing at our meeting. So he's explaining this to an audience. I don't know how many we had there, 400 or 500 people in our audience. And so he's telling a story that, the whole point is say something, pique their interest, say something. And so he told the little story. These guys were coming down, and he said whatever he said to them. And the audience went crazy, bombarding him. You know what they just were hounding him to death over? What did you say? And he says, it doesn't matter what I said. The point is, I said something. Folks, that's crucial. It's crucial. It's not what you say that's as important as the fact that you said something. How are people going to know anything about our product or company if somebody don't say something? You got to say something. What you say is irrelevant. You could say, what's your plan B? What are you talking about? What do you mean plan B? Do you keep your business options open? Are you making all the money that you want to earn? Are you hitting your retirement savings goals? Have you ever heard of the gut microbiome? Do you know anybody? Who do you know that has a gut? It doesn't matter what you say. The point is, say something. So now once you said something and you got their interest, the way that we have things set up now, you can either do a 3-way call, or you can get them on our Sunday night call. So and again, we've reiterated that when you invite somebody Sunday night, don't say, hey, look, 8:30 every Sunday. You just shot yourself in the foot, because you took away the sense of urgency. And those, you do it every Sunday? Okay, well, I think I got a Sunday available next June. They'll put you off. They're not going to be there. So you just one at a time. You say, hey, being that you got a little bit of interest, hey, this Sunday I'd like to introduce you to our team, and you can stay home. Matter of fact, you can have your PJs on if you want. It's a Zoom call, and come and meet our team and learn a little bit more about what this product's doing to help people with their health. Something like that. Just that, and then you're done. You don't have to tell them how it all works. You don't want to get into the 96 fruits and vegetables. You don't go there, because everything you say, they're trying to go in their subconscious mind. They're trying to learn from you, and they're going, if I'm going to do this, I got to know all that stuff. How many fruits, 90? Do you got to know them all? You're going to freak them out. But if that's all you do is you want to introduce them to the team and let the team do the work, you see how that's duplicatable? Anybody can do that. And I'll tell you, some of the fun that Bob and Billy and I have had in the years gone by is when we have the opportunity. And let me tell you, this is just as hard on me as it is anybody, because you get somebody to bite, and you get excited, and you want to tell them everything you know, because you think that's going to help. It's not. It's not. I remember one of my first network marketing businesses I did. I had some friends in town that I had talked to, tried to get them to look at the company so many times, so hard. I struggled to get them to look, that I remember we were walking in the little downtown area in this town, and they saw me coming. They went over to the other side of the street because they knew I was coming. So, it's that you don't want to do that. That's not what you do. That's not duplicatable. You see, that's not lifting the lid, putting the paper, and pushing the button, getting it done. And that's why duplication is just so critical. And as you know, that we talk about just about every time we get together in these trainings, I personally, through my life, have learned the power of human philosophy. You all have one. You may not realize it, but you have a philosophy. As an example, you'll hear some people's philosophy, maybe in a spiritual sense, is I just don't believe in organized religion. Well, that's their philosophy. So that's what they think is working for them. And if it's something that you're on, your philosophy is to help people that think that way, well, You can't tell them everything you know in one city, can you? No, you have to. Matter of fact, we used to have a thing in a past company we had these pins made, and it said on there, "Leave them foaming," and we learned that from Ken Rowland. It was, you got to tell them just enough, and when you got them a little bit excited about something, be quiet, shut it down. You know, you want them always wanting more. Then they're not afraid to talk to you. They're not going to cross the street when they see you coming. You know, they have a question, and you just keep building that knowledge. And so just always asking people, you know, hey, look, I understand it ain't for you. Hey, but would it be okay? Would it be all right if when I see some new information or something, I send you an email and include it so, you know, you can read it at your leisure? Calm it down. Make it no big deal. That's duplicatable. Because now when the time that they do KNOW more and they use the product, and maybe now they see that there's an opportunity and they want to make some money, you've trained them and you didn't know it. And that was what I started to tell you about what Billy and Bob and I used to have a blast with. Was we'd have somebody that now they're in our business and they've talked to a couple of people, and they got a couple of people in their business. Man, they're really excited. And so they'll say, well, man, you know, hey, Mike, can you train me? I need some training. Where's the training? How do I learn to do this? So, well, that's a great question, you know. And I'd put them on hold. You got a minute? I want to introduce you to one of the leaders. I call Bob or Billy and say, hey, I got this guy on the phone. He's now a distributor with us, and he's needing some training. And okay, so Mike, you brought him through the system? Yeah, I brought him through the system. All right, we'll get him on. We'll go ahead and train him. So he'd come on, and so they'd say, well, Joe, how did Mike introduce this to you? Well, he asked me some question, and I you know, piqued my interest, and then he introduced me to somebody, and they invited me to a Zoom call, and I went to a Zoom call. Oh, okay. And then what happened? Well, then I had a couple of questions, you know, about this product and that, and he introduced me to somebody else that kind of told me a little bit about it, and they helped me order my first order of product. And, oh, okay. And then what happened? Well, then I actually sent the video that got my little flywheel in the back office, and I sent that guy. I got a couple of people. One person's a customer, and one person's wanting to build the business, and so now I'm excited. I want to do more. Well, all this time, Mike sponsored you, right? Yeah, Mike sponsored me. And what did Mike do? Well, he didn't really do much. He piqued my interest with a question and got me on the Zoom. Well, then, Joe, let me ask you a question and be honest with yourself. Can you do what Mike's done? It didn't do nothing but introduce me to some videos of people. Can you do what Mike did? Well, heck yeah, that's pretty simple. You see the power of duplication? Now, your business gets real simple if you'll just trust the system and use the power of duplication. So with that in mind, we're going to go listen a little bit more to my friend Jim Rohn. And this time, I want to help you with your thinking, because I know how many people I've met through the years that they don't have a good relationship with money. They don't, certain words are bad words in their mind, and sometimes it cripples them from realizing that, you know, I think of what Zig Ziglar used to say. He used to say that, you know, people, it's true that money cannot buy happiness. We'll all agree to that. It does in itself, it doesn't buy happiness. But have you ever noticed that it's right up there next to oxygen? You know, let me see you live without it. You know, we live in a world that you have to have it. You just have to have it. You can't live, you can't survive with zero money. Now, there's some countries around the globe that they try to test that theory because they don't make very much money. But it's a situation that their environment's completely different. They do exist, don't they? They do get by. They may have to forage the fields themselves. They might have to plant a lot of food in their own, but they get by. But you got to have some sort of money. Got to have some. Almost every economy on the planet requires that you have some money. even if it's $10 a month. I know when we're in Tahiti, we learned that in Tahiti, I don't know if it's the same anymore, but when we first started exporting the noni fruit out of the Polynesian islands, it was a third world country, and we actually liberated the Isle of Tahiti in French Polynesia, and they're no longer a third world country. And part of what was interesting in that country was the first $1,000 that you earned each year was tax free. You didn't have to pay any tax at all on your first $1,000 a year. So guess what the average income in Tahiti was? $1,000 a year. So it's a situation where, again, the way people thought that, I don't want to pay any taxes, and I've actually seen people, if you were standing on a street corner and you had little wads of $1,000,000 bills, or $1,000,000 in, let's say, $1,000 bills. By the way, that's an interesting illustration. A stack of $1,000 bills to make $1,000,000 is a 7-inch stack. To help you to get a good visual of when we talked about Bill Gates and Robert Kiyosaki, they're billionaires. If you'd have $1,000 bills and you stack them on a counter, you know how many $1,000 bills it takes to get a billion? 66-story building. So you see the difference on a million and a billion? So Bill Gates and Robert Kiyosaki have multiple 66-story buildings of $1,000 bills. Now, where does that relate? Again, it's to your perception of things. People, millionaires, you're going to hear Jim talk about it. Once upon a time, that was huge. But it's just not that huge anymore. And so I want to just help you with your thinking. I really, really, as you know, I'm a strong proponent of being educated on our company, on our business model, and most of all, our product. You have to understand what this product does for your body. But you don't need to be telling people. You send them links. Let them learn from third parties. One of the things I love about doing the Google and the gut microbiome searches is it's not go love life. It's not love biome all everything, because people realize that could be biased information. But when it's coming from Harvard and from all these different medical institutes, that's a feather in your cap, because they know they're learning it on their own. But the people I've had, for the most part, quit being subscribers with us, for the most part, it's because they didn't understand. They didn't understand clearly the value of their gut and all the things. You may be young and completely healthy today, but if everybody eats the way I see them eat in this country, you ain't going to be Mr. Vibrant at 30 as you are at 25. And that's what that Dr. Gundry talks about in our video that we showed last night, is the world has changed. People's diets, they've gotten really finicky, and the diets have gotten better and better and better, but the health isn't. Why? Because the gut microbiome. So really learn to be a student of it yourself, and now save those websites. When you find websites that have interesting stuff, I actually have a folder on my computer for Love Biome articles. And when I get an interesting one, I just hit that little star up there on my browser and save it in there, so I can go back and get that anytime I want. And actually, your app on your phone has a thing on there where you can add your own media. So when you find neat stuff, that even if it's a video on YouTube or whatever it is, you got those little snippets that we have that we showed last night. You can go look at the full length of those. Some of those are hour, 45 minutes, or 45 minutes to an hour talks. You can have those where you just save the link, put it in your media file on your Go Love Life app on your phone, and you can send that to people. And that's the stuff you want to let them hear from somebody else, not you, because they are going to try to copy whatever you do. Keep it simple and duplicatable. That in mind, here's my buddy Jim. Enjoy this. As you know, I highly respect this man, and try to reason on what he's teaching about your perception of things.
Now, we can use all kinds of terms: getting rich, becoming wealthy. Sometimes rich and wealthy is a little bit heavy, where someone might say, I don't need to be rich. But, rich is always in each person's concept of rich. It used to be a long time ago, rich was being a millionaire, but, a millionaire, $1 million is not that much anymore. So everything is relative. But someone says, well, I don't want to think of myself as trying to get rich. So, there's other language we can use from a variety of semantics. We can choose what's more comfortable. Becoming wealthy. The term wealthy in everybody's mind is probably a little different of what the amount is or what the accumulation is. So that's interesting. Rich or wealthy. But here's one concept I think everybody can comprehend, even the kids, and that's to someday be financially independent. Being able to live from the income of your personal resources, that's a goal everybody should set. Now, if you're a little late coming to this plan, you might have to, do a little more stretching than the average person would. But starting at age 15, it's easy to pencil out where with a normal average income and the increases every year to be financially independent by age 35, 40 at the latest, if you have a good plan. Now, the reason why the money all disappears is not because it doesn't exist. It's because the money isn't put in the right plan. Now, money's not the only value. But make this note, it is one value. It's not the only one, but it is one. Money is not the only measure of success, but it is one measure. That your current income is a measure of your personal value to the marketplace. If your current value to the marketplace is $5 an hour, you get the $5. So, not that a person is only worth $5, but their value to the marketplace is only worth $5. But it's possible to very quickly change those numbers by changing your value. But the numbers do illustrate the value. We cannot leave that concept out. So somebody says, you mean where I am financially is an illustration of who I am? And the answer is yes. Now, it's not the only measure. I'm not saying it's the only one, but I'm saying it is one. There's a lot of other ways to measure a person's value as a father, person's value as a mother, person's value as a friend, as a colleague, of course. But we can't leave the money out. Now, here's why money is an easy measure. It's easy to count. Let's count. See, there's nothing better than the truth. You don't need to fool with the truth. It is so dynamic in uncovering the errors of our ways and helping us to set up new disciplines to change it all, starting today, starting overnight, starting anytime. Now, you could wait to start a plan for a couple of years, but why not do it now? Some people have to wrestle with, and I had a few questions on, is it okay to strive to be rich? Is it okay to want to be wealthy? Is it okay to go for it? I had to come to grips with that. Some people say, well, it'd be better to renounce all worldly goods and just live a very poverty, spiritual life. And that's one concept. I've got another concept. Try this on for size. If you could do better, should you? That's an interesting concept to consider. Why would you leave the biggest share of your life unexplored in terms of personal development and what that might have achieved, either in the marketplace or at home as a father? Someone says, well, I'm not going for being rich. I don't think that's really the healthy thing to do. So everybody has to wrestle with that. And I understand that. But I think one conclusion we could come to, with a good, simple, practical plan, there's no reason why you can't accumulate the resources to be financially independent. Lydia Colon invests $1 in her enterprise, selling a product she believed in. Here was her first investment, desperation. She says, my kids are hungry. I got to make this work. If this doesn't work, what will I do? That's called great incentive. My friend Bill Bailey went to Chicago as a teenager after he got out of high school. And the first job he got was night janitor. Someone says, Bill, why would you settle for night janitor? He said, malnutrition. Right? You work at whatever you can possibly get when you get hungry. right? You go to work somewhere, night janitor, don't matter where it is. Now he's rich and, he's financially independent, but first job, night janitor. Now here's the next investment she made. Determination. I will find someone. First she said, I must find someone. Desperation. Second, she said, I will find someone before this first day is over. Sure enough, she found someone. She said, if it works once, it'll work again. But the next person said no. Next person said no. Now what must you invest? Courage. Courage is more valuable than money. If you've only got $1 and a lot of courage, I'm telling you, you got a good future ahead of you. Courage in spite of. Humans can do the most incredible things no matter what happens. Tell us about it. Haven't we heard the stories? There's probably some recent ones from Kosovo that we haven't even heard yet, that are some of the most classic, unbelievable stories of being in the depths of hell and finally making it out. Humans, you can't sell humans short. Courage. In spite of, not because of, but in spite of. Now, once she's sold 3 or 4 and gotten going, here's what now takes over. Ambition. Wow, if I can sell 3, I can sell 33. If I can sell 33, I can sell 103. Wow, now she's now dazzled by her own dreams of the future. Try this one on for size. Faith. Now she begins to believe, I've got a good product. This is probably a good company. And she then starts to believe in herself. Lydia. Single mother, 2 kids, no job. My gosh, I'm going to pull it off. Her self-esteem starts to soar. These are investments that are unmatched. Money can't touch it. What if you had $1 million and no courage? You'd be poor. You wouldn't be rich. Now here's the next one. It's the reason why she's a millionaire today. Ingenuity. Putting your brains to work. Probably up until now, you've put about 1/10 of your brain power to work. What if you employed the other 9/10? You can't believe what can happen. Humans can come up with the most intriguing things to do. Ingenuity. What's ingenuity worth? A fortune. It's more valuable than money. All you need is $1 and plenty of ingenuity. Figuring out a way to make it work, make it work, make it work. Next. Heart and soul. I mean, what's a substitute for heart and soul? It ain't money. Money can't buy heart and soul. And heart and soul is more valuable than $1 million. $1 million without heart and soul, you have no life. You are ineffective. But heart and soul is like magic. It's what we call the unseen magic that moves people. Moves people to buy, moves people to make decisions, moves people to act. Moves people to respond. Heart and soul. Next, personality. You've just got to spruce up and sharpen up your own personality. You've got plenty of personality. Just get it developed to where it's effective every day. It's effective no matter who you talk to, whether it's a child or whether it's a business person, whether it's a rich person, poor person. A unique personality that is at home anywhere. Here's the ultimate investment, charisma. Ultimate sophistication, charisma, with a touch of humility. All of that list is more valuable than money. With $1 and the list I just gave you, the world is yours. I mean, it belongs to you. Whatever piece of it you desire, whatever development you wish for your life. Capital, there is some kind of capital and there is some kind of capital. But here's what you can do with $1 and the rest of this investment of yourself and your person. You can secure your fortune. Key phrase, you lack not the resources. You don't lack the mental resources. You don't lack the financial resources. Here's the key to the dollar. Depends on where you invest it. Depends on where you spend it. I mean, what are you going to do with this dollar? You say, well, it's only $1. No, you don't understand. You can, if you wish, you can turn it, instead of into a Coca-Cola, you could turn it into capital. And $1 turned into capital instead of a Coca-Cola, what's the difference? The difference is a fortune. The Coca-Cola is soon gone, but the fortune lasts forever. Everybody's got the money. It depends on where you put it. We all have desires. We all want to do something worthwhile. We all want to be meaningful to our family. We all want to be recognized. We all want to have satisfaction. We were meant for enterprise, and we've all got those similar desires. But here's what people are looking for that you've got now in your hands to take to the marketplace, and that's called ways and means. Ways and means to go from here to there. Ways and means to go from where I am to where I want to finally be. Ways and means to take what I've got, because I can't take any more than what I've got and turn it into more than I've got. What is the magic of that? And the magic is to find opportunity which provides for you the ways and the means. So that journey of 5 years that I was with Mr. Shoaff before he died was the most extraordinary time of my life in terms of business, in terms of income, in terms of life change, in terms of the ideas he exposed for me as far as leadership is concerned, understanding the marketplace, understanding banks and money, understanding capitalism, understanding people, how to work with people, communication, all that stuff I learned during that 5 years. And I've applied it in many different ways. And I've diversified my enterprises now around the world. But the drama that affected my life all those years ago, that happened to me during that 5-year period between when I was 25 and 30, that was the drama of my life. And I know that some of you probably, you're just now beginning this drama. Maybe not at age 25, but it doesn't matter what age. Make this note. Any 6 years you want to. I did it between ages 25 and 31. Went from 0 to a millionaire. Any 6 years you pick, you can dramatically affect your life. You can dramatically change course. You can dramatically alter the outcome of your daily input. Any 6 years you want to pick. Because once in a while someone says, well, Mr. Rohn, I've heard your story between ages 25 and 31. All this drama happened for you, but I'm 40. And I says, then you do it between 40 and 46. So make the note. Any 6 years you pick, any 5 years you pick, 6 years you pick, here's what any 6 years you pick can be. Drastically different than the last 6. Being able to design your own future, being able to make it as big as you want to, take your time if you want to, slow as you want to, fast as you want to. Build it as big as you want to, as wide as you want to, as high as you want to, go as far as you want to, cash in as much as you want to. This is called the American dream coming true. Yes, there's the American dream of the young lad that started in the mail room and now he's the chief executive of the corporation. But how many stories like there are there? There's not millions. So here was one of the first lessons I learned. Profits are better than wages. It's noble to earn wages and make a living, but it's exciting to earn profits and make a fortune. Because you can earn a profit long before you can earn a wage, legitimately. Almost everybody wishes for that. If I could have a business, right? If I could be my own boss, if I could come and go as I pleased, if I could, grow as fast as I wanted to grow, a lot faster than I can do on an ordinary orthodox job. So it's easy to teach these little principles. Profits are better than wages. Wages make you a living, profits make you a fortune. This is what I taught in Russia. Active capital means buy, sell, or sell, buy. It depends on your circumstances. If you have to sell, buy, you sell, buy. If you can do it, then you buy, sell. Or whatever way to, earn a profit. If you teach kids the splendid joy of being rich, if you teach kids the unbelievable power of being financially independent, if you teach them the unbelievable feeling of being capable, of having skills, of having influence, of being somebody, they'll go for it. Now, if they don't go for that, they're going to substitute it with something else. Something else we really don't care for. Some other kind of high, rather than earning money, rather than being responsible, rather than the joy of giving service, rather than all these joys. They're probably going to go for something else. So we got to keep their minds busy with stuff like this. Figure out ways to get this money out there so that it earns you this. And find out some ways to start earning profits yourself. Some of the notes I taught in Russia on capitalism versus communism. Here's what capital is. The Russians did not understand this because they weren't taught. Here's what capital is. Capital is any value you set aside. And the easiest to identify is your money. Any value you set aside to be invested in an enterprise that brings value to the public with the hopes of making a profit. Now, the reason why that was foreign to the Russians was because up until the fall of communism, making a profit was illegal. You couldn't go into business for yourself. You had to work for the all-knowing state. Everybody was employed by the state because the state owned all the resources. So you couldn't make a profit. Now, when I give this simple little analysis, the Russians go crazy. They said, well, we could have done that for the last 85 years. That's right. We could have built a dynamic society like America. That's right. But now you've got to start setting aside some value to be invested in an enterprise that you're responsible for bringing value to the marketplace with the hope of making a profit. That's called capitalism. Now, here's what else I told them. Here's what you can set aside that's more important than money. Now, this money that you set aside is like seed corn for the farmer. What would you do with seed corn? Number one, protect it with a vengeance. Here's what you wouldn't do with it. Spend it. Here's what you wouldn't do with it. Give it away. You can't do that with your capital. You cannot be benevolent with your capital. With your profits, yes. With your capital, no. This is seed corn. Here's what you wouldn't do with your seed corn. Eat it. Because now you've got no crop come harvest. So you wouldn't spend it and you wouldn't lose it. And you wouldn't give it away and you wouldn't eat it. It's to be set aside and protected because it's the investment for the future. To be kept for the time when you invest it in an enterprise that brings value to the marketplace with the hopes of making a profit. And this enterprise bringing value to the marketplace with the hope of making a profit is just as simple as a child that buys a bottle of soap for $2 and sells it for $3. He brings value to the marketplace by taking this $2 of capital and going next door to Mrs. Jones and selling her a bottle of soap for $3. Now he's got $3, but $2 is capital still set aside to invest in the next bottle. That is capitalism. But here's what's exciting. It's not all there is to capitalism. Time is more valuable than capital. Time you set aside, not to be eaten, not to be wasted, not to be given away. Time you set aside to be invested in an enterprise that brings value to the marketplace with the hope of making a profit. Now we have capital money and we have capital time. How valuable is time? Time properly invested is worth a fortune. Time wasted is worth devastation. But it's worth a fortune if you invest it properly. Everybody's got the money. Everybody's got the time. Everybody's got the imagination and the mental and the spiritual and the social resources. Everybody's got the stuff. It depends on how you use it and where you put it and where you invest it, how it turns out for you and for your life.